we starting?
Okay, let's do this.
Yeah, here we go. I'm pretty excited.
5, 6, 7, 8. Side hustle. When you have a job, but you need another job, it's a side hustle.
That's Chelsea.
That's Sarah.
Are they famous?
No! Side hustle. But we have worked a lot.
Yeah, Broadway,
Las Vegas.
TV, film,
And so many jobs in between. It's a side hustle. Because the hustle is real.
Welcome
You
to
guys.
the Side Hustle.
Hi, come on. The water's fine.
Yeah, we warmed it up for you.
Oh, we are
It's only 'cause I
so
peed.
glad you're here. Welcome to the Side Hustle.
Welcome, that's Chelsea.
and that is Sarah.
Yes, and this is a comedy podcast.
That's right. This is a comedy podcast about jobs.
Well,
Okay. Yeah.
not just any jobs.
That's right.
No.
Don't worry, Mike Rowe. We're not coming for your job. Okay. No, this is a job. A job?
This is a job.
a
This-
podcast about those jobs that you have to have.
well, getting the jobs that you want to have.
You know,
Showbiz jams.
remember showbiz?
Oh, do I remember
Long
showbiz?
ago and far away in another land.
Before the end of times. Actually, speaking of showbiz, Chelsea and I used to do that.
Yeah. So before the apocalypse, we were both performers in Las Vegas. Sarah was actually one of the MCs of Atomic Saloon at the Venetian.
That's right. And Chelsea was one of the MCs at Channing Tatum's Magic Mike Live, which
Yeah.
was at the Hard Rock, and will be moving to the Sahara once the world decides it's okay to open
Yeah.
again. Yeah.
And we had this idea that we wanted to share with everybody the fact that everyone in entertainment, whether you've been like in a Broadway show or on
Yeah.
TV, at
Yeah.
some point you have worked some weird job that involves usually like a damp costume.
Yeah. Or some like deep feeling of like purposelessness.
Oh, shame.
Yeah,
I was gonna say a
that's-
name tag, but shame
Oh, a
is
name
part of
tag.
it.
Yeah. A name tag or flair.
Oh, I don't want to talk about my flair.
Oh, God.
Yeah, and at the time we were like,
What-
podcast. Who's doing those?
No one's doing those. We should do a podcast. We'd be the first people to do a podcast.
Because we just wanted to share these wild, wacky stories with everybody.
Yeah, we wanted to ask our friends and other like writers and directors.
Yeah, and then mostly
producers.
each other, just because
And
like
then-
the sheer like joy of talking to someone that you're not related to right now
just-
is so
It's just really
undeniable.
exciting.
Yeah, and we're wearing pants
Yeah.
and shoes. I hope you're not, because you're watching this at home.
Yeah,
So
you don't
just
have to wear pants,
spread
shoes.
out.
You don't have to wear anything. I mean, if I'm being honest, I put on jeans and I really shouldn't have. And if we're being super honest, they're jeggings. So
Yeah.
And if we're being honest, I feel like I have to poop.
Oh wow,
Sorry.
things took a turn. So
was kinda
listen,
What? Sorry. Did I get us off
so
track?
we're so proud that we're presenting this show through Dynasty Typewriter.
Yes.
And every single dollar that you spent purchasing these tickets goes to benefit Dynasty Typewriter, because we just want to do our small part in keeping the arts alive. And we're here in Vegas.
We live in Vegas. We used to work in Vegas, but we're in Vegas at Show Creator Studio in this beautiful, beautiful setting. Come on now.
Curtains
Curtains
and wood
and
paneling.
panels and chairs. Oh my.
So much.
And you know what else you might have noticed?
Yeah.
The bottom half of our face.
You guys don't be concerned. What is this? This is a chin and a lip.
A mouth, a nose.
But don't freak out. Not only do we do a podcast, we also do a pod.
We're
So-
Peace in a pod.
pod. We're pod sisters. So Sarah and I are podding
Comedy.
together.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we thought we'd just reveal these faces for you.
Yeah. And that's why we're this close to each other. We
Yeah.
just wanted to let you know that. And that we might end with just a full tongue kiss. Just kidding. We're not.
Never. I
Gonna
mean,
do
maybe
that.
a dip.
Maybe
God,
a
but
dip.
remember those pre-apocalypse days? Like I felt like I'd like lick my hands clean like a cat any chance I got.
I definitely, not to like be super gross, but I definitely remember like getting off of a shift in New York City and like buying a pizza and like eating it on the train after I'd touched everything. So,
Yeah.
I'm surprised I'm still alive.
Just French kissing everybody.
Just licking the poles in
But-
the subway station.
Oh yeah. We are so excited because we have an incredible show. But before we get to that,
Yeah.
Sarah, like share with us, like what is a podcast? What is like a side, not a podcast. What is a side
This is a
hustle?
podcast.
Yeah. You guys,
This is actually like, it's a podcast for your eyes right now.
you're watching us. It's too exciting. Wearing
so exciting.
shoes amongst humans is too exciting.
I'm also sweating.
It's true.
Okay.
So what is like a favorite side hustle that you have that you remember that you want to
Oh,
share?
for example, when I just was talking about New York City. When I lived in New York City, I was so sick of waiting tables and eating cake with my hands after the shift at Ruby
I feel like that
Foo's.
would be a highlight.
That's real. That's real.
I feel like
Um,
that's
I
part of my day.
yeah, I mean, yeah, but also gross. And then like you fall asleep and there's just like cake crumbs and then you wake up. Also like falling asleep on a train. Oh, brother.
I
Sorry,
once
mom.
woke up with a chicken tender stuck in my back. That's another story. But yeah, falling asleep eating food is, I feel like, my fantasy. If I knew like we were about to die, like a meteor was heading
Yeah.
towards the earth, I'd be like, buy a cake
Buy a cake
and,
and use your hands.
Yeah.
Lick that. Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway,
But
one
you're
of the
sick of waiting tables. So what did
I
you
was
do?
sick of waiting tables. So I had a friend who was working at a school and she
Nice.
was like, do you want to do like after school programming and work with kids? And I said, yeah, I'm sure it'll be easy.
No.
So without any real training, I just basically was thrown onto the job, showed up for an after school program that was 3 to 5.
That's in children years,
Kinder-
14 hours.
Kindergartners.
No,
So
they can smell your
Ages
fear.
anywhere from 4 to 6, 20 of them. And I was by myself.
No.
Yes, I was by myself. I showed up. I had no help. This was
They formed a pack. That's what happens.
it was a public school with a private charter. So you had just a mix of kids from like various different backgrounds. And they smelled my fear on day one.
Yeah.
And by the end of the day, and like, look, I have kids now, so I get it. It's a long day. They were exhausted. Who the hell is this lady I literally I would make them learn sign language in order to get their snacks. I was like, no, you have to spell your name. Like that's,
Wow.
but sign language was actually great because it made them quiet. But anyway, this one kid was going crazy and having a full out tantrum and like hitting me and biting. And as I'm holding this small child, I'm realizing I have no backup. I can't go
No one's
anywhere
coming.
because there's 19 other children in this room.
What did you do?
I ran and I never looked back.
Oh God.
I still have that child. No, I just cried. I cried and no, eventually I was able to like calm the child down.
Oh, that's good.
But yeah, that was
give him a little cake from
yeah.
your pocket from earlier.
yeah. And then I just reached into my back pocket. I was like, I've been having them storing this cake for 2 years. Okay, but Chelsea,
yeah.
why don't you give the audience an amuse bouche of
oh, you know I love that word.
I
You
love
said that just
amuse.
for me.
I do.
Okay, here's a little boosh for you guys. So when I first moved to Vegas, I wanted to be in a show. So I was like auditioning all the time, and I saw this audition for like singers and dancers, and I was like, perfect, my 2 favorite things. And so I got there, and when I got there, they're like, oh no, this is not for a show. And I was like, oh crap.
Yeah.
Must read more carefully.
Well, it probably also was like wanted singers and dancers.
Yeah, they always give
and
me
then the
that.
small
Yeah.
print. Yeah. And you're like,
We
that's
have
me.
cake.
Yeah.
No, so then I get there and they're like, oh, this is not for a show. This is for a program called Bev-ertainment. So you are a cocktail waitress
Beverage.
and then you also have to perform.
Entertainment.
So you would work like 8-hour shifts on the casino floor and then you'd also have to serve drinks. So literally you were like marching around a casino, serving the complimentary drinks to people that were gambling. Those people do not like you. They like save their hostility and rage for the person bringing them like a watered down Jack and Coke.
But it's because it's supposed to be free. Like that's half of the gambling thing.
Yeah,
is
I mean,
they're
that's
just
why I
like,
gamble.
yeah, they're like, free
Yeah.
drinks. Let's just put some quarters
then
in a
once-
machine.
Once an hour, I literally would have to scamper on top of a slot machine. They built like a stage, and it was like a ladder for a pool. Like it was like a small, and so you'd have to be like, ka-kink, and then be like, ding, ding, ding,
In
and
your little
climb-
outfit?
in my outfit, and climb up, and then
Oh,
you'd be like,
come
calling
on.
out, and you'd be like, where's my Bud Light? And you'd be like, quiet, around the world. And I did that for.
Are you
a
ready? Where's this guy's
year.
Bud Light?
Yeah,
My,
I did it for a
inner
year.
thought.
And literally, the best part of the job is that we were wearing like velvet G strings.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, with like a JC
I
Penney
was-
support hose.
I was gonna
underneath.
say, I remember those tights. They weren't a hose. They were like a full out
Because
tight.
you were working 8 hours, your body hurt in a way it's never hurt before, and also your soul. And so you had like this velvet G string on, and then it was like a lace overlay that only like gently revealed like one triangle of your stomach. That part does not look good on anybody.
No.
Yeah.
Also for you to like, and then you're like up on a pedestal so that angle is also not
Yeah.
great. And then up
And I
like,
did that for a year, but like I
Oh.
have great stories. I met lots of like cool, weird celebrities serving them drinks.
favorite celebrity is a Barbara Tainer. Go.
Ray Romano literally was playing, and I was like, "Hi, could I get you a drink?" And then I was like, "Oh, it's Ray Romano. Play it cool." So I think I was like did it, and then he was like,
That's really
he
cool.
was
I'm
like,
sure
"I
he
know,
was not.
I'm really good under pressure. So
Sorry.
then he was like, "No, I don't want a drink, but don't you tell anybody I played nickel slots. And now I'm telling
Oh my God.
everyone.
And the tens of tens are
tens of people are going to know.
they're
Hey,
gonna
Ray,
know about it.
friend of the podcast.
FOP.
Yeah, and then one night a guy was like, "I'll give you $100 every time you walk by me," and you better believe I was like, dun, dun. Oh, this again? Dun, dun, dun. Yeah, so I made like,
Your mama there.
yeah. So that's one of the many side hustles I
Ah.
have been so lucky to work.
Oh man, such great side hustles.
Do we have a show for you?
Oh my God. We are so excited.
Show of shows.
I mean, probably the main reason that you tuned in to the side hustle. And that's okay.
No, they wanted to see us in our like sporty black
They wanted to
blouses.
see
And look,
a fancy
I'm
sweat.
I'm wearing
I
Rockport
have
boots.
a sparkle, a Rockport.
You know, the tagline of Rockport is like, "Your youth is over," because they feel like a cloud and they're like made of foam.
I think that's who should be sponsoring us. Sponsored by Rockport.
Hey,
When you're ready to be done with your youth,
remember pointy shoes? I don't wear your Rockport.
out of the question. Get on this cloud and ride a Rockport.
But we have such an incredible show, and we are so excited that you're spending some time with us tonight. Our guest does it all.
Oh, let me tell you, she has won a ton of awards.
Emmys,
Yes,
Golden Globes,
yes,
Critics' Choice Awards,
yes. Our hearts.
America's Sweetheart,
Writer, creator,
singer, dancer.
actor of her own show, just wrote a book. We are I'm a little
We are
right
so
all over.
excited.
late.
Here she is, Rachel Bloom. Rachel.
Hey.
Oh my
my
gosh! We're sitting now.
We just wanted to show people that we have a lot of angles.
Yeah.
Standing, sitting. We're like
I, for one, was
layers.
very surprised.
You're like, wait a second.
Rachel, thank you so much for being
my
with us
gosh.
tonight.
Thank you for having me. I'm in my house is a mess. I'm in my husband's office, so I have a desk lamp on, so I'm trying to get as close to
I like it.
and my spotlight.
Good.
You look beautiful. I love the desk lamp spotlight. It's just outstanding on you. So for those of you who don't know, which if you don't know, you better get woke. Rachel just wrote a book
That's
I don't know
called
if that's the
I
right
Want-
term for woke about like my book. Mom,
okay.
I mean,
well,
get hip, get wise.
Get hip.
get hip.
You guys, I'm wearing Rockports. I don't know what I'm saying anymore.
We wear Rockports. Hey everybody, get hip to this book.
Hey kids.
It's Rachel Bloom. I want to be where the normal people are, and I tore through it in 3. I think it was like maybe 4 days. I went so fast through it. It's such a great book, Rachel. It's
you.
funny. It's painful and beautiful, and I just think it's so great, and it's just a great read. So if you haven't gone out and get it, please go get this book. You will love it.
Thank you.
And in it, you actually talk about some of your side hustles.
I do indeed. And I'll talk about any of those side hustles. What do you want to touch on?
Oh,
I got a lot of side hustles. I mean, as we all do, as you said.
yeah. I mean, so one of the things I was curious about was when you were a not even a hostess, maybe a hostess, but you worked the front of a restaurant
Mhm.
and then had to get in a limo and wait for your boss.
Yeah. I worked at a fancy restaurant in New York. I'm gonna try to create pseudonyms without slipping and saying like the real names, just so I don't get sued. I don't know if that would happen. I don't know if
They
anyone
listen to the podcast, so watch out.
Yeah, exactly. They
Let's-
tuned in.
So it's this very fancy restaurant where there's a job called a reservationist. So you don't even have anything to do with the dining room. You greet people, see if there's a table for them, and you also answer the phone and take reservations. It's a lot of using Open Table for seating. I'm proficient at Open Table, by the way, and it's still on my resume. It's under my special skill.
Nice.
So
Oh,
if
man.
anyone's
I said she
looking-
didn't know.
if anyone's looking for someone who's proficient in Open Table, that's me. So one day, everyone was terrified of the boss. Let's call him George. It's not his name. Everyone was like horrified.
But George is a terrifying name. Yeah.
It is a very scary name. Everyone was really scared of him. He was a brusque man. He said vaguely anti-Semitic things to me. But it's fine. So the
Did he know you were Jewish?
yeah, somehow he found out, which is like, and he would always talk about me being Jewish, which is like, he lives in New York City. Everyone's Jewish. But this guy was Irish.
Man.
Anyway. Oh,
Oh,
sorry.
George.
Gregor just texted me to say, oh, okay, great. Sorry.
Gregor's texting you from the
My
other room.
husband's walking got it. My husband's walking the dog before it starts raining, but he's listening to the baby on the monitor, and he'll text me if she wakes up. But this office is right next to her room, so I'll also hear. Anyway, where was I?
George, he's a dick. We hate George.
So who's the guy? The maitre d', runs in from outside one night, and my shift is up in an hour. And after that hour, by the way, I'm going to go see Eddie Izzard. I have tickets to see Eddie Izzard. And I'm very excited. And he runs in and goes, he goes up to me and he goes, do you have a driver's license? And I was like, yeah. And he goes, grab it and come with me. And I'm like, can I bring my phone? He's like, there's no time. And so I run out, I get in George's black SUV, and he just starts driving. And a minute goes by and I'm like, what's happening? I was like, we going to Paris? And he's like, no. And then like another minute goes by and I'm like, what's happening? Where are we going? And he's like, I have to go to a party, but I don't want to stay long. So I'm going to park my car in a red zone and you're going to wait in the car while I'm at a party. And I was like, okay. So we go to this place in Brooklyn. I'm sitting in the car and like, it's 40 minutes until my shift is up, 30, 20, 15. And I'm like, I gotta go. Like I have a life. Like I'm not on the clock. I gotta go to this Eddie Izzard show, but I don't have my phone. I don't have my cell phone with me.
Oh.
He has a phone in his car. At that point, he had a car phone, but I didn't want to get fired for using his car phone to call the restaurant because I was still terrified of him. So I had to get out of the car. I stopped someone jogging on the street. I explained the situation. I used their phone to call the restaurant to get someone to come up and relieve me.
No way.
Yeah.
The scene, I wish I could just see the scene of you and the jogger, like you flagging down the jogger.
I was
And
like,
be like,
I was like, excuse me, I need to use your phone. And I went, I know that that's a ruse for me to then just take your phone and steal it because I never let anyone use my phone for that reason. But I promise. And I was like, and then I explained the situation. They were like, yeah, fine. Use my phone. Like I clearly wasn't. That would have been such an elaborate lie. Although I've gotten some pretty good elaborate lies in New York. I was walking through the West Village one day and a guy comes up to me with a bike and some like dirty nails, but like otherwise looked, I don't know, put together. And he was like, excuse me, God, I'm trying to remember what the lie was. He was like, excuse me, do you have $5? And I was like, what? And he's like, you don't understand. I'm the costume designer of the revival of Sweeney Todd on Broadway. Which at that time was the revival. And I'm walking through the West Village.
no.
So he's like, I'm the costume designer of the revival of Sweeney Todd on Broadway. I left, all of the costumes are in my apartment and I have to like bring them to the theater. I tried to climb up my fire escape to get in my apartment, hence the reason my hands are dirty. But I can't get in, so I need $1 in order to get, maybe it was just $1. No, maybe I think it was 5. I might have given him 20. Now I don't remember. He needed money. I don't remember why he needed money and why it made sense. Oh, I think he was like, I'm going to get in a cab. Or maybe I have to make a phone call at a payphone. Anyway, either way, I gave him money. And then I got back to my apartment and I was like, wait a second. Is Sweeney Todd still running? And I looked it up. No, it had closed 2 months before.
Well, I was just gonna say, like, there's the theater nerd in you that's just like, well, yeah, I have to help. I mean,
I love what they
it's
did.
for the
They put
theater.
It was such an
instruments on stage.
elaborate lie that I was like, there's no way this guy's lying. But I was also, yeah, that's an elaborate lie. I would probably still fall for that.
I'm sure I would. I absolutely would right now. And I'm so like so much more empathetic that I feel like anytime, especially what after you have kids, like just everything is so very much like, you know, you need like anytime somebody says something, you're like, oh, of course, of course. What can I give you? How can I help? You know?
Well, yeah.
Um
I mean, we get scammed
I'm
by our
still like,
babies
no.
every day.
exactly. Exactly.
Like,
Chelsea says no. Chelsea says she would have just hands down just rejected.
I just run away if someone's like, excuse me. I'm like, no time.
There's no
And
time.
they're like, I'm related to you. It's me. It's your mother. And I'm like, no.
I used to I got a kick out of one time in New York. I got stopped. I think I must have walked around New York going like this because a lot of people would approach me for weird shit. And someone approached me. This happened 2 times actually. A woman comes up to me and goes, "Excuse me, I'm a psychic, and I have to tell you something." And I was like, "Oh,
I'm excited.
oh, okay, what?" And she's like, "Come to my studio and we'll do a reading. It's $95." And I was like, "I don't have cash on me." And she was like, "There's an ATM right over there." And I was like, "Okay, maybe I'll come back." And she goes, "You will." And I did.
That's the greatest thing I've ever heard. That's just like
That just happened to my sister here in Vegas. She said that she was like at Target and a lady was like, I need to tell you something. I'm a psychic. Call me. And my sister was like, okay. But she like didn't.
but I love that the hard like the you will. I
Yeah.
just love like
And I was like, well,
just,
no, I won't.
I
Because
know.
you just screwed yourself. Yeah, like, and another time, another psychic came up to me, and I was walking right outside NYU Tisch, where I went to school, and she was like, "Excuse me, I can tell you're an artist, and I have to tell you things about your art." And I was like, "What?" And she's like, "Just come to my studio." It was the same thing. I was like, "No, I'm busy." And I think even to both psychics, I was like, "Can you give me a hint? Like, if this urgent, and I was like, "Can you tell me anything?" And they're like, I really can't.
Not without
And I
your
was like,
money, I
give me,
can't.
give me a,
$95.
but also like if I wonder like if they are psychics and they were seeing something about my future, what did they need to tell me that would have like changed, just like to let me know like, hey, you're gonna have a nice career, which is nice.
Right. But also like first of all, 95 is like ridiculously specific as $100, but
Yeah.
also like $95. It's just such a strict like that's
'Cause they
just
want
such a
that
random
tip.
number. Yeah. And then they want a $5 tip on $95.
know.
That's I mean, it's anyway. And then it's like, yeah, if you have something, if it's important, if it's urgent, wouldn't it be better to say like, I'm very concerned about your future. I see this. If you want more, come right through these doors. But I feel like
Well,
she really
so
screwed the pooch.
if your next side hustle is being a psychic, Sarah, it seems like you got to figure it out.
yeah, that's probably going to be the next thing I do. I'm just
Yeah.
going to go stand on street corners.
But when I was in college, we all went to go see a psychic, and she was like, I was alone with her, and she was like, I need to tell you, you have to be really, really careful. Like, I see that you're going to get pregnant really young. You have to like be really careful. And I was like, oh my gosh, I really need to pay attention to that. I think my mom's watching this. I don't know what that. So then she was like, but don't tell anyone I like shared this with you, because I was with like 4 other girls. So each one of my friends went in and like did it. And then later, like hours later, we were like, she all told us the same thing. She literally was like, watch out, girls.
That the only thing that reminds me of is not a psychic, but when Kimmy was getting married, our friend Kimmy, who was also on the podcast, we decided to throw a bachelorette party and hire a stripper. And we weren't like, I don't know what we were thinking, but he came out and would strip and we'd throw money at him. And then he would like go into the bathroom, probably doing cocaine. He was probably doing something. But when he would leave, we'd collect all the money back up and then like give it. But like every time he left, we would just keep taking the money back and then like re-giving him the money.
Oh,
Wait, he didn't take the money?
No, like he would strip and like,
you're supposed to, I think, gather the money.
right.
Yeah, that's part of it. Like scoop it all up.
He also was stripping to like a Pandora station that had commercials. So it wasn't our best.
Yes.
It wasn't our best.
Oh my, Rachel, I want you to tell the story about your side hustle when you were a camp counselor, because I peed my pants. It is the best story, and then it also fills me with so many emotions.
So I was the summer after my freshman year of college, I needed to make money for a trip to Europe I was going on. And so I became a camp counselor. I could have had another job. I could have gotten so much more money. I became a camp counselor at this arts camp for, I think it was like 2.5 months. And the whole summer it was like $850. Again, like
For the whole summer.
yeah, like not a great deal, but you know what? They paid, it was also your room and board was paid for because you were working at the camp, plus your meals were all covered. And I had a lot of the day free. And because it was an arts camp, they had like piano practice rooms. So I would go every day and like practice my piano and practice my voice stuff because I was a musical theater major. So it was actually a good deal, but like it was because most camp counselors are like in their teens or they're people who've gone to the camp. They're maybe like going into college at oldest, but this was like people of all ages. Like I was working with some counselors who were in their 30s.
Yeah.
And there were some real characters, which is always a fun thing to say. But the story I tell in my book is that so we're introduced to all the counselors day one, and there's this one guy who's a counselor named Matt who's deaf. Great, awesome, deaf counselor, and he had an amazing story. He was majoring in bassoon at his college, and I was like, holy fuck, he's like the Beethoven of bassoons. He was deaf, but he played bassoon. Like that's unbelievable.
Incredible. Yeah.
And so we're prepping for camp because we had like 2 weeks to kind of clean up the camp. The camp was like a dump. It hadn't been cleaned. And so we were raking leaves. And anyway, I walk in, I remember after cleaning the camp, it's the night before camp starts. And everyone was like, Rachel, Matt has something he wants to tell all of us. And I should say that Matt was a perfect lip reader. I was like, do we need to know signs? They're like, no, Matt is a perfect lip reader. And also he like speaks very well. Like you could really understand what he was saying. It was like he wasn't deaf. So I go into this room. Matt has us gathered around. And I should say that previously he had been speaking in what I can only describe as a deaf voice. You know it. I won't do it. But it's the voice of someone when they can't hear.
Right.
Yes.
And then, so we gathered us around and then he goes, yeah, guys, I'm not really deaf. And we're like, what?
What?
And he's
You
like-
actually used the term unbelievable before, and that is accurate. It was unbelievable
He goes,
because
yeah, guys, I'm not really deaf. And he goes, what he was doing, he was, I guess, in addition to being a bassoon major, he was minoring in, I don't know, deaf relations, or maybe it was like sociology. And he was doing his thesis or doing a paper about how people treat the deaf. And so he was like, part of my paper is I'm going to compare how you all treated me when you thought I was deaf, as opposed to now. And I'm going to do it with the kids too. So all summer, I'm going to pretend to be deaf. And you can't tell the kids. And he's like, this has been sanctioned by the camp, but I just wanted to let you guys know I'm not really deaf. And so for the next couple months, we had to go back to pretending Matt was deaf.
No.
And
no.
Were you ever just
towards
like-
the end, he started to get lazy with it. He
I was
started
gonna
to
say
like,
someone would be like, hey Matt, and he'd be like, oh.
he's
Yeah.
speaking in a voice, and like he started almost going like that. Like he started doing like offensive monosyllabic things to tell kids to go there, like an impression of a deaf person. And someone heard some of the kids being like, hey guys, I think I heard Matt talking in like a regular voice the other day. He just, towards the end of the summer, he was getting tired of it.
He just couldn't do it.
Yeah.
He couldn't hold the ruse.
Oh, it's too much.
But on
That-
some, but like, so, and then the side note was he was really into leather. And so we went to Hollywood.
Serious man.
We went to Hollywood. Again, like it was a fascinating group of people at this camp. We all one day, the camp was, how shall I say, it was close-ish to Los Angeles. So we drove to LA and we walked on Hollywood Boulevard. I grew up here. I'd been to Hollywood Boulevard, but I was like, whatever, they want to go to Hollywood Boulevard. And
Yeah.
he
I'll
bought
go.
a
I'll
pair,
buy it.
and I went into a bunch of like leather daddy stores with him, and I helped him pick out a pair of assless chaps. And then I watched him get his septum pierced, and I saw a grown man cry.
Oh,
man.
wow. So
Was he pretending to be deaf as he got it pierced?
He was not. He was absolutely not. And
Oh.
then there were a lot of also like religious people who were counselors at this camp. There was this one guy there who was from Oklahoma and was a born again, and he became like my really good friend. But occasionally he'd say things to me like, "You're a false Jew because you're not like Orthodox, and you're gonna go to hell because you're a false Jew." But then he'd quote Family Guy, and then I'd be like, "Ah, you're funny again." Um,
There you are.
it was, you know, people are full of contradictions. People are fucking weird. And this camp, because it was a bunch of people in their early 20s to early 30s who decided to spend their summer as adult counselors at a camp they'd never gone to, it was a really weird group of people.
I feel like that's also why you can set so many things at a camp, because counselors are just like, the majority of people are inherently strange. Like you're either going to get somebody who's young and probably normal-ish trying to make money.
Yeah.
And then people who've been there like every year they go back and you're like, what, why are you, you know, in your mid-20s working for $800 for the entire summer?
Right. But that's what's wonderful about jobs that aren't in your line of work. Say we're coming from entertainment, is you meet people you otherwise would never meet. And I'm still telling stories about the people I met in my various like day jobs, because I otherwise literally would have never met these people. And are they going to be friends for life? No. Are they going to give you stories for life? Absolutely. And I remember, but I do remember it's the type of thing where it's people who are good for like basing things off of, but the stories themselves are really mundane. Like when I worked at that restaurant, I just remember we had like a book where we would write down funny things customers said. And 9 times out of 10, like it wasn't that funny. It was, but it like in the context of working, I just remember one of my bosses at that job being like, "You couldn't write a show about this. Like you can't, oh my God, you can't even write this. This is too crazy." It was about something where a customer dropped a plate of eggplant or something. And she's like, "Huh, you couldn't even write that." And I wanted to be like, yeah, you could write that. And you know, it would be, you should write something better.
Right. It would actually not be as funny. It really would just be a boring scene about a plate of eggplant being dropped.
Yeah, I find that I'm still inspired by like the characters I met and the people I met, but as far as like the day-to-day things that happened at these day jobs, I'll tell you one thing I heard that happened that I wasn't there for, but like this is amazing. The restaurant in New York had a beautiful view, and it was a floor level restaurant, and someone who was at a window seat, which was a very highly coveted seat to get, got under the table and started blowing her date. Yeah, and this restaurant, everyone was so proper that they didn't know what to do. She was blowing him for like a couple minutes because no one knew what to do or what to say. Like everyone had to mobilize and be like, what do we do? And so like finally, like, you know, before the money shot, I guess they came in, they were like, "Please leave this restaurant." And then apparently there's this huge flower display in the lobby. As she was leaving, she sniffed the flowers like that.
No.
But I
That's
wasn't,
just like the added.
but I wasn't there for that. Like short of that, day jobs for me were a series of weird moments and microaggressions that were hostile and funny in context, but out of context are, you know, not as interesting as they would appear.
The whole time we've been talking, I have been thinking about how long that other employee was in the car waiting for George, and if anyone ever checked on them, like, are they still there?
Um,
Like George just wanted to go to the party. He said really quick he was just going to pop in and out, and we
He's
just
still
don't
waiting.
know.
I have no idea. I have.
But then
I
you had to like, did somebody come relieve you, and then you
Yeah.
were able to go back?
They
Okay.
came to leave me. I went back, and
It's
actually,
just
I think George came back as I was finally leaving my shift. I think he really was going to be at the party for a short amount of time, and he's like, "What did you get cold?" And it was like, "Ha! I could sue you. It's a
Right.
liability."
You literally
You
just
kidnapped me.
you just abducted me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Didn't
you
let
saw
me bring
Eddie
my phone.
Izzard, and then
Yeah. Did you get to see Eddie Izzard? I mean, that's the real question.
I did.
Oh, good.
It was a good show.
Oh,
a
good.
happy ending.
I'm
It
gonna.
was a-
I'm
it was
gonna.
a-
I'm gonna have. It was a which show was it? Because we probably were at the same show.
It was he did a show in I spent a lot of time in the West Village. It was a show at a big theater in the West Village.
Yeah, I think I
It was-
Matt
It
and I
was
went to
sort of
that one.
his like stand-up tour. This is
Yeah.
2009,
Oh, yeah,
I think.
that could be around the same time.
Well-
I have one more thing I want to ask you, only because I know we're running short on time. But my I think about this. You also were a singer on like a dinner cruise around Manhattan, and I just want you to talk about it for a second, because I think about my mom saw Bette Midler sing as a waitress when she was younger and
Oh,
working,
that's so
and I
cool.
remember and
How
was
did
like,
she
I
know?
remember
How did she know?
well,
that
she
it was
didn't.
Bette Midler?
I mean, at the time, she didn't know it was Bette Midler, but she like. I mean, okay. So the truth is, like, my mom is like, I'm 99% certain, because of how close it was. Like basically where Don Giovanni's used to be, like the Improv, in Midtown Manhattan. And my mom was like, we used to go here after the shows, and we used to, and like the waitresses would sing, and this waitress would always sing, and she was fantastic, and she had very specific features. And my mom saying, like, I remember thinking, like, wow, she's just got these strong features. Like, she probably won't be able to do anything because she's got such strong features, but she's got such a great voice. And like, it was so, like those things were like, it is what it is. But I think about like now, and then like now Bette Midler is just, a phenomenon, and how like the people on the boat, like, I wonder if they ever look at you on TV and are like, that girl looks like that. Do you remember that waitress that sang on the boat? She looks like that waitress but nothing would have ever come of a waitress on a boat,
Well, actually, I was working on the boat when my first music video, Fuck Me Ray Bradbury, came out, and I was still working on the boat. And so it's a week later, I'm working on the boat, I'm singing my song, and someone comes up to me and they go, "Excuse me, are you Rachel Bloom?" And I was like, "Yeah." And they were like, "You did Fuck Me Ray Bradbury?" And I was like, "Yeah." And they're like, "Oh my God, I love that video. Wait, what are you doing here?" And I went,
And you're like,
I just posted that video like a week ago, and YouTube doesn't pay, because at the time YouTube didn't pay. And I was like, I gotta make money. Give me a tip.
That's amazing. That's so great. You're like, yes, I made an incredible music video. Also, can you give me a tip? Because, but that, and then that video ended up being what, yeah,
I
that's
love
what I was
it.
going to say. And that video ended up being what, like,
yeah, that's when I first fell in love with you.
That's a
So
lot of
many
people. It's, and you
Oh my
write about it in the book.
Dun,
I want to
dun,
be where the
dun.
normal people are.
I think I didn't ask you to promote the book, and I have to say thank you. It's really nice, as if I had asked you to keep, like, as if a publicist had been like, show the book at least 6 times.
A lot.
Like, I appreciate it.
It's just something we like to do.
Rachel and I have actually been friends for quite a while, and it's no secret that I'm a big fan of you as a friend, and as as I think you're incredible as an artist as well. But I am promoting. You should not ask me. I did. If you watch season 2 opener, I pop up right behind Rachel. That was like one of the most fun I've ever had. And then I was able to kind of come on and assist Catherine Burns, the choreographer, for some episodes. And I got to be there for all of the final season. And it was just, it was a dream. And I loved watching you work. I loved every minute of it. You knew you were like, and I always was like, you created this. Like, this came out of your brain. These things are just, all these people have jobs because you have such a artistic and beautiful mind. But this book also, like, I don't mean to be like, nobody asked me to do this. I just loved it, and I also felt like it just kind of gives you a little bit of an insight into Rachel's crazy talented mind.
Yeah.
So if you want to read it, read it. I was gonna ask
If you
I was
want
gonna
to
ask
read
questions.
read it. That's what I say.
That's the tagline of the
Okay,
book.
that's a good idea. If you want to read it, read it.
Yeah, do it.
I highly
You
recommend it. And
Don't read it.
don't read it.
Don't do it.
You know what? Perfectly said. If you want to read it, read it. If you don't. I'm just saying that I don't, I fancied myself a reader and I tore through it, and I have 2 kids and I'm doing homeschool. So that says a lot. That's all I'm
It really
saying.
does.
Okay?
Rachel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You are a dream. We wanted to know if you would take some questions from some of our viewers right now.
Yeah, I've been looking at the chat.
Let's see.
Is that where the comments? Is that where the
we can
questions
look
are
at the chat right now. What are they saying? They're
Yeah.
like,
Sammy was
Well, there's
gonna show us.
chat with comments. I just see comments. The last thing I see is from 6:49 p.m. Happy ending indeed.
Oh, okay.
hilarious.
Happy ending indeed.
If you do have a question, type it in. Let us know. What do
right
you want
this
Rachel
second,
Bloom to
because we have
answer?
like a couple seconds more with Rachel. We have
Yeah.
a couple minutes more of the podcast. So, Kathy Ortiz is trying to try that. That's actually my choreographer name.
Rachel, we decided like a couple episodes ago, like one thing that's been holding us back career-wise is that we don't have like cool nicknames.
Yeah,
Because we were talking to our friend Linda, who's this incredible dancer that's like danced for all these amazing artists. And so she'd always talk about these choreographers that like had like names like Showtime. And I was like, God damn it, that's what I need.
Yeah, we're missing
If
out.
my name was Showtime, people would be like,
You got to hire
Showtime's here?
Showtime. You got to hire Showtime.
Choreographer whose name is Showtime.
Showtime. And he's big.
Yeah,
He's big time. Showtime is
Showtime's
big time.
big time.
Yeah. Oh, we do have a
Okay.
question.
Oh, is anything happening with the Nanny musical? Yes. We are still before the world shut down, I had worked on a lot of songs from Act 1. I'm, for those of you who don't know, there's a musical being made of The Nanny. I am I'm a producer on it, but also writing the lyrics, some of the music. Unfortunately, my songwriting partner on The Nanny died. I said that like it was a joke. It's not. It's just a really weird way.
joke.
It's just really weird because there's no other way to say that. He died of COVID, Adam Schlesinger. But separately, the story's still being worked on. So, yes, the Nanny musical is happening. I will eventually have to find another songwriting collaborator. But there was a bunch of work before all the shit went down that had been done on it regardless. So it is still in process. But Broadway shows also take, a million years to make.
Yeah.
But it's not even finished yet.
Well, that answers the question.
So
it's going to take
exciting.
people don't realize that like musicals are one of the longest things to create. Okay, somebody
we have
put it
another
on.
question.
I heard
Chris,
somewhere
where
you
you
used to
work-
work as a
Telephone call. Yeah, I worked in theater. So I worked in theater telesales. I worked at a nonprofit, I should say. I worked at a telesales company that did telemarketing for nonprofit theaters. But it meant like cold calling. Like one of the places I would call for was the Pittsburgh Ballet Theater. And I'd call people who like saw the Nutcracker one time in 1996 and be like, would you like a subscription this year? It was hard. It was really hard. I can count on one hand the number of times I actually sold subscriptions from cold calling people who'd maybe seen like a show or two there. I mean, it happened. It definitely happened. The boss I remember at that telesales place was himself a cabaret star. And so in his orientation to us, he's like, look, this isn't anyone's main passion. This isn't my main passion. I'm a cabaret singer. Okay. Like I'd much
That's
rather
my
be working time than working here, but I'm a manager here.
Yeah.
It was a very dreary place. But I also worked for something called the NYU Phonathon, which is a classic job that you have if you go to NYU, where you call up alumni to try to get them to give money. And when the NYU Phonathon calls me, I do give them $5. I throw them a bone.
Yeah.
I'm
Well,
sorry,
because you're like, I feel bad.
does every musician that pretends to be deaf buy assless chaps or just that one guy? Steve, that is a great question.
That is also Chelsea's husband.
You know, we can
asking a
look
great
for
question.
Steve. Thank you for that question. You know, we can look for trends in life and society. Evolution would state that you know, we are a product of our DNA and our genetics and our environment. So what makes a person pretend to be deaf? Is it the assless chaps, or do you pretend to be deaf and want the assless chaps? Only God knows.
Right. only God knows. And if you're not an Orthodox Jew, then you won't actually know, because you're just not a good Jew. Your
No.
God won't know.
I am going to
No.
help for that. But hopefully someone who quotes Family Guy a lot will be down there, because that guy was hilarious. But he's going to heaven. If you go to heaven, if you believe in God and you go to heaven, be prepared to be faced with a lot of people who quote Family Guy.
Oh.
Oh, well,
Huh?
you know, I don't believe in either, so
yeah,
it's going to be fine for me.
I'm just gonna be wearing my assless chaps down below.
Yeah. Rachel, thank you so much for being here with us this evening. We want to
Someone
thank
said
everyone.
all chaps are assless. Is that true?
Oh, that's who is Big Sexy. And oh no, Kathy Ortiz says false. Big
Oh.
Sexy says all chaps are assless, and Kathy Ortiz says false. Again, we don't know the answer.
Well,
Only God knows the answer to that
I mean,
question.
I guess you wear chaps over like jeans, right? So when they're assless, you're just choosing not to wear the underpant.
Oh,
Yeah.
I mean, I honestly
what
don't
are
know.
chaps for? They're for horses riding?
Horses, yeah.
They're for the horseback
I don't know why I
riding.
just like patted my thighs like that. That mimicked horse riding.
That's how you're
for you.
riding a horse.
Dun,
Yeah.
dun, 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 dun.
Because that's about the
Oh,
horse
because
riding
I'm
we
a
do.
Foley artist now because I need a job so bad.
Right, because you're doing Foley. My thing fell out.
Oh,
Okay, we have to wrap it up because it's 7:00, and I'm like, look, I can't even put an earbud in.
Rachel,
That's-
you are such a dream. You're someone that I know so many people admire and look up to and respect. And I think this has just been like such a dream. You really like made our day. And
Thank you for
possibly
having me.
year. Yeah.
Oh,
And
thank
to all of you
you.
that tuned in.
yeah, we're
Um,
just feeling the love.
I'm feeling the love. This almost feels like live performance, mainly because I'm talking to two people who are in the same room together.
Isn't it weird?
It's like the closest thing that we've done since all of this, and it's the same nervous emotions, but almost more so, because you're like, it doesn't matter, but it does. Because it's just
We
you
haven't
want to
done it
give,
so
you want to
long.
do something, you
Yeah.
feel like that, and you know, for Chelsea and I, we're more live performers than television and film, so most of our stuff was live, so we have like literally nothing on the horizon, and just every time a show
I like
is
that we're
like,
ending it on a low.
we're
like,
gonna bring it back up.
and
No,
we're
because-
all gonna die. Have a wonderful night.
It's gonna be
Thank you.
great. Well, we are all gonna die, but at
And
some
we're
point.
bringing it back up.
And we're bringing it back up. No, Chelsea, they're working on the theater right
Yeah.
now. We have people we know that are working COVID safe
Yeah.
to recreate the space of Magic Mike Live over at the Sahara. So, you know, once things get back up, and then Atomic Saloon is supposed to be going back into Palazzo. I have like a Lucy in there. That's just cute. that's Foley arts right there.
You call it
anyway,
Booger a
okay.
Lucy?
Well,
Lucy
yeah, because
Goosey.
it's like,
we haven't been around people. I told
'cause
Sarah
she's like
earlier. I
you.
saw a friend at Trader Joe's,
yeah, because it's loose.
and I shouted, "You go here!" And then it was just like awful. And I was like, we all have forgotten how to like act in society.
Yeah.
We're not. I don't know. how to
outside
do
of
it.
our
We're
four
all going
walls.
to be rusty. I'm excited to when we're back doing live improv. I'm excited to like get back into live improv, because for the past couple of years I was like, I'm rusty on it. Like I'd get us to do an improv show, I'd be like, I'm so rusty, I don't know. And now it's like everyone's going to be rusty. It's an even playing field
Oh,
again.
yeah.
I'm going to get back.
Yeah.
Now's my time
yeah.
to get in.
Yeah. Oh, Shelly Slocum just wrote, "Love you, Rachel." All right.
Shelly,
Thank
that's
you
how I
all
feel.
so much. Thank you all so much for tuning in. Thank you so much, Rachel, for being our guest tonight.
Oh my gosh. And we always say this, and we know it's like so cheesy and stupid, but it actually helps us. If you do listen, like, and subscribe, because we want that HelloFresh sponsorship.
And those Rockport sponsorships.
Yeah, do you like getting food in small plastic bags? Then you'll love HelloFresh. See, it's so good. We're so close.
If you do you like do you like preparing your own meals but having somebody else deliver them? HelloFresh.
See,
So
so please do that. Check us out on Instagram at the Side Hustle Pod.
like, listen, subscribe. Thank you
Do
so
all the
much for
things.
tuning in. That's
Rachel
Chelsea.
Bloom, thank you for joining us. We love you.
Bye.
Keep
Goodbye, everybody.
hustling,
Keep that hustle.
everybody.
Keep hustling.